Hi, I'm Gary Morris. I'm the pastor at Lambeth Memorial United Methodist Church here in Jackson. The garden was a concept of our spiritual leadership team 3 several years ago. They incorporated what's called the C3 ministry of the church, which included the worship area and the park area, which is the old playground, old preschool playground, and also the garden area portion of the church, where there were several people that volunteered and helped to build the garden. Actually, there was raised areas there where they had the railroad ties and put the garden dirt in it, and planted vegetables and opened it so that people in the community could participate if they wanted to. Initially, we didn't have a great response from the community for various reasons. But in the last year when Mary Beth Eberly moved back to Jackson with her husband and family, she had a passion for the garden ministry.
So I came in last fall and started working with the kids and youth Wednesday night outreach. And when spring rolled around, there was not a whole lot of activity in the garden. And it was early spring, and I don't think a lot of people were already thinking that direction. So I asked around who is in charge, who do I ask for a garden space, and I was told that it's first come, first serve. So we pretty much claimed the whole thing for the Wednesday night outreach program. And the kids were really excited. They loved planting the seeds. They loved eating what came up. It took a while to teach them a little bit of what to expect with agriculture. Some of them wanted cherries, which is a tree fruit that doesn't grow in Tennessee. Some of them wanted watermelon right away. Well, it's a 3 or 4 month crop. So it's been a way to really teach them where their food comes from and teach them patience, teach them just all sorts of cool things. These kids would come in super hyper, sometimes to the point of being aggressive. So the kids would arrive hyper, almost aggressive sometimes, and we'd get them in the garden and they would calm down. And it was really cool to see kids that had trouble sitting for a meal would focus on planting a line of beans almost perfectly. When we planted the radishes, it came time to thin them out. And I didn't warn the kids that the radish sprouts were spicy. It was kind of fun to watch their reaction. So they're eating the radish sprouts and they're all fanning their faces. Later, when the radishes matured, we actually had kids fighting over radishes. I didn't even like radishes. I think they taste like spicy dirt. So they would come in and they would mow down the kale, and I would be worried that they would basically kill the kale. I had to stop them from eating it because they just eat it straight out of the garden. We had peas, and the kids never brought them in the building. They ate them all in the garden. So it was really neat to see these kids. You know that they're being fed, but you don't know exactly how well they're being fed. Have a chance to eat something that they planted, that they grew. They come running. They get out of the car and they skip the gym and they come running to the garden on Wednesday nights. It's really, really fun to see. This fall we're cleaning it out, planting fall crops, so we've got onions in there now. And I'm glad we have onion starts because the little fingers, their fingers can't handle the tiny seeds.
It was very successful, and they've asked for it again this year, and Mary Beth's participating in doing that. In fact, this last week, last Wednesday, when she was out in the garden with the kids, there were a young couple that was walking up the street, up Talbot Street, and noticed what was going on. And they went up to Mary Beth and asked her about it. She told her what was going on. They came into the church and are interested in participating as volunteers. This couple's in their young 20s, and it's a couple that don't go to church. In fact, the young gentleman told me that he was not religious, not interested in religion, but they were interested in participating in helping others, and this was an avenue for them to do that. So the garden in itself not only reaches out to the children in the community, but to others as well.
One of the coolest things that happened was around Easter. We were able to teach the Easter story in the garden because Jesus went into the ground and 3 days later he came back. Something has to die for new life to come back, and they were able to see that in the context of the garden. So it's not exactly a traditional lesson where they're sitting at a table and they're cutting out pictures or they're doing a Bible lesson like that. It's something that really meets them where they are as kids who don't necessarily know how to do church the way people who've grown up in church know how to do church. But they come in and they calm down and they settle and they come back for it.